What happened in Binghamton has chilling similarities to the tragedy at Virginia Tech nearly 2 years ago. Both were carried out by a loner obsessed with guns and bent on revenge. In a new book, a former Virginia Tech professor writes that she tried to get the killer help before it was too late, but no one would listen. Sirens pierce the air on an unusually cold day. By the end of a murderous shooting spree, 23-year-old Sungwee Cho killed 27 students, 5 teachers, and then himself.
This is a tragedy that's about a failure of imagination. I mean, in many ways, people couldn't imagine something really terrible happening on a campus as beautiful and pristine and picturesque as ours.
But Lucinda Roy could. In the fall of 2005, when she was chair of the English department, a colleague had alerted her to Cho's disturbing writings and disruptive behavior. In her book, No Right to Remain Silent, she says Cho's classmates were afraid of him and that he was taking cell phone photos of them under his desk. Concerned, Roy decided to tutor him privately and found a student wearing dark reflective sunglasses who was almost always unresponsive. In your view, this was a very serious situation.
Yeah, there are a few times when you get nervous enough that you want to make sure you're really contacting multiple people, and this seemed to me to be one of those times.
Roy contacted 4 different departments on campus, including the counseling center and university police. She was desperate for Cho to get help.
I was told that that would never happen because I was essentially requiring a student to seek counseling.
And that's against Virginia Tech policy, as it is at several schools across the country, unless it's an emergency. And administrators claim Roy did not indicate it was an emergency situation.
She indicated that she had worked out a satisfactory arrangement with him and didn't feel a need for any further involvement.
If I'd only just met with him very quietly and hadn't been campaigning for the entire year, I would say that that interpretation was possible.
Cho did get psychiatric help at an off-campus facility after he threatened to commit suicide. He was evaluated but released when he was no longer considered a threat. At the end of that year, he voluntarily contacted the school's mental health center. Records of any treatment he may have received there are missing.
I learned that he had gone over, and had gone over repeatedly, not just once, but was never really examined.
And the university was unaware of Cho's history of mental health problems before he came to college.
If a student has been through counseling, and maybe even intense counseling in middle school and high school, that is protected information.
And because Cho was over 21 at the time, his parents were never notified about his problems at Virginia Tech. A special state panel convened after the shootings concluded the school had misinterpreted privacy laws and had failed to connect the dots.
If everybody did their job the way they were supposed to, I'm convinced that 33 lives would be with us today.
Joe Samaha's 18-year-old daughter Rima was shot and killed in French class. Lori Haas's daughter Emily was wounded by 2 of Cho's bullets.
Cho was crying out for help. He sent up red flag after red flag after red flag.
Since the shootings, Virginia Tech has made some changes, adding additional counselors and establishing a risk assessment team to handle troubled students. For Lucinda Roy, the serenity of the Blacksburg community was shattered on a cruel day in April. Now she wants all educators to learn an invaluable lesson.
You get very, very few opportunities to help someone who's mentally disturbed, very few. And when you get them, you must take them.